This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
My name is Dorivar Ruiz Diaz, soil fertility specialist in the Department of Agronomy at Kansas State. Today we're talking about fertility management for soybean. There are several issues that are relevant for fertility management and soybeans. Some of those that we are seeing more frequently in recent years relate to phosphorus management, which is one of the main limiting nutrients typically for soybeans. But we also start to see more and more low pH develops in different parts of the state, even in regions like central and western Kansas, where we typically tend to see more high pH soils. In recent years, we start to see some low pH develops in those regions. And that can be quite important for soybean as we see more and more soybean acres moving west. That can be something that we need to watch pretty closely when it comes to fertility management. One of the things that we highlight, especially for these two nutrients, for phosphorus and for soil pH, is soil testing. It still becomes still one of the main tools we have for managing these two variables. And soybean, again, show very good response to phosphorus in particular. Maintaining good fertility levels is really important for soybeans. We also do see significant yield increases when we are in that low soil test situation. We see significant yield increases to fertilizer application in soybeans. In the case of pH, similar situation, looking at history of soil tests and managing accordingly is the key. One thing that we highlight also when it comes to soil pH is in those situations where we have no-till systems, where we are not going to incorporate any lime, we need to be looking specifically the upper 3 inches. So a more shallow sampling depth can become really important in those no-till management systems where lime will likely be applied on the surface. And again, mostly interacting with the upper 2 to 3 inches in the field. Other aspects, fertility management points that we need to keep in mind for soybeans are usually related to potassium, which is especially important for some parts of the state, eastern part and especially southeast Kansas. Always something that we need to watch very closely. We do. Last year we saw some cases of potassium deficiency also develop in some fields that has optimum soil test levels. A lot of that has to do with planting conditions, compaction, for example, that can be a big challenge. So just again, one thing to keep in mind, wet planting conditions can develop some sidewall compaction, and that usually turns into some sort of nutrient deficiency, and potassium is typically the one that tends to show in that kind of situation. So that is definitely something important when we're talking about potassium in particular. Other nutrients, micronutrients is always a big question for soybean, and it's something that is very is less likely to see a response. However, we do have some fields, especially sandy soils, low organic matter soils, that can show a response to micronutrients. And again, we need to be paying attention to those fields. Definitely can be economical. The key is, are we identifying those fields that are good candidates for a micronutrient fertility program? In terms of information, we are doing several of these meetings this year with producers. We do have our soil testing lab website at K-State, where we have a lot of the information in terms of recommendations for fertility management in soybeans. We do have the e-updates that I definitely encourage producers to look at as we are providing some guidelines and some timely recommendations for our major crops in Kansas.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide, presented by Lucas Oil, featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV, the all-new Better Horses Network.